I was forcibly taken by my parents to participate in a competition that favored daughters over sons. The stipulation of the contest was that if parents could unequivocally demonstrate their bias towards their daughter, they would be rewarded with a staggering prize of 1 billion. My parents were utterly determined to triumph in this competition. However, upon reaching the entrance of the arena, a couple, their faces smeared with blood, suddenly rushed into the crowd, exclaiming, "Whatever you do, do not partake in this competition, you will regret it." As they fervently endeavored to thwart others, the robots mercilessly broke their legs and dragged them away, leaving only faint echoes of anguished cries and sobs. Countless competing families erupted in applause. Marvelous. We have one less rival. They clutched their daughters and led their sons, eagerly surging into the competition that favored daughters over sons. My parents were among them. Upon entering the venue, the contestants were met with the first round of a question-and-answer test. What tangible actions have parents taken in their daily lives to show favoritism towards their daughters? A pair of rural parents eagerly stepped forward. Our daughter received 100,000 yuan as a wedding gift, and we set aside 20,000 for her to spend as she pleases. Other families would take all the gifts to support their sons. We are undoubtedly the most devoted parents to our daughter in the village. Their daughter, frail and pale, bore a prominent belly, while the son, plump and boisterous, lamented that our parents favored his sister excessively. After scanning the parents, the robot delivered its verdict. According to the gender bias assessment system, the favoritism index towards the daughter is -100. How could it be negative? That is absurd. Before they could protest, a sudden surge of blue electricity coursed through their bodies. Amidst the crackling of electric shocks, they convulsed and collapsed. As the cold voice of the judge resonated, "The system will enforce a severance of your relationship with your daughter and mandate tenfold compensation." In the next moment, the son, clutching his phone, exclaimed, "Where did my 2 million in savings go?" The daughter glanced at her phone in astonishment and, overwhelmed with joy, fled the scene. The son attempted to pursue, but was similarly incapacitated by the robots. What? Failing the test incurs a penalty? They are deducting my son's money to give to my daughter? Noticing someone trembling with trepidation and contemplating withdrawal, my father scoffed. This must be a staged act orchestrated by the organizers to dissuade biased parents who lack self-awareness. I treat my daughter the best. I have nothing to fear. My mother confidently stepped forward. It's our turn. My daughter, Lu Yao, has her own separate room. The younger brother, Lu Xingchen, chimed in our home, my sister has her own room and bed, while I am left to share a room with our parents." The spotlight suddenly fell upon me, and the unyielding robot inquired, "Lu Yao, is this true?" I contemplated my own space. A cramped storeroom that could barely accommodate a small bed. It lacked windows, the bed and blankets were salvaged from a garbage dump, and the walls were moldy and peeling. Seeping water. Yet, recalling the punishment meted out to the earlier parents, I silently nodded. A wave of astonishment swept through the audience. A separate room for the son? How can that be allowed for the daughter? This is blatant favoritism. Amidst the clamor of discussion, the number of participants dwindled by 1/5. After the system's ruling, the results were announced. It has been determined that Lu Yao's parents have a favoritism index of 10, successfully passing the question-and-answer test. We shall now proceed to the household chores testing phase. Families that wash 100 plates within the allotted time will qualify for the next round. A mountain of dirty plates, encrusted with rotting food remnants, appeared on stage. Habitually, I rolled up my sleeves to step forward, only to be firmly restrained by my mother. She shot me a fierce glare. "Yao Yao, have you forgotten? Your brother usually does all the chores." Then, with a gentler tone, she coaxed my brother, "My dear son, do you remember how we taught you at home? Just do as we instructed, close your eyes and get it done." Lu Xingchen shot me a resentful glance at the greasy, filthy plates. However, upon hearing my father promise the best gaming console as a reward, he forced a smile and dashed to the platform first. Other families that had passed the first round also sent their sons to the sink. A cacophony of protests erupted. "That's disgusting. I'm not washing those. Washing dishes is clearly the maid's job, my sister's job. This is unfair. Washing dishes is a woman's inherent duty. If a man can't even wash dishes, how can he ever marry and receive a bride price?" With a sudden zap, the parents barely had time to cover their son's mouth before they were struck by a powerful electric current. Witnessing their anguished writhing, The remaining contestants suppressed their dissatisfaction and forced smiles as they began washing plates. Yet soon, the sound of plates shattering filled the arena. Those sons, utterly incapable of washing dishes, collapsed alongside their parents, shrieking in agony. In contrast, Lu Xingchen, having undergone training prior to this competition, albeit reluctantly, managed to wash one plate after another with relative ease. My father, overjoyed, applauded, "My son is so capable, it proves just how biased we are towards our daughter. My daughter merely needs to read and do her homework at home. Can you parents achieve that?" After scanning Lu Xingchen, the robot turned to me again. "Lu Yao. Is this true?" My mother gripped the nape of my neck, smiling menacingly. "Yao Yao, it's true that your parents have never made you wash dishes at home. You must answer honestly." This was indeed the truth. Since graduating from elementary school, they had relentlessly exploited my spare time. As soon as school ended, I was dispatched to work in a restaurant, washing vegetables, plates, and serving food, often returning home only around 11 or midnight. Consequently, I had developed an instinct to wash dishes upon seeing them. The first task I undertook upon returning home each day was to hand over the earnings from my part-time job. Even if I did not work, they compelled me to go out and collect bottles for money. Unless I earned at least 20 yuan, I was not permitted to enter the house. Hence, I indeed did not perform household chores, and my time at home was primarily consumed by studying. Observing the parents on stage gradually succumbing to electric shocks, frothing at the mouth, while their funds were systematically transferred to their daughters, I maintained my silence and nodded once more. My mother breathed a sigh of relief, her hand stroking my hair now more gently. "Yao Yao, dear, once we win the grand prize, our family will travel abroad together." Meanwhile, Lu Xingchen, panting, completed the washing of the plates. The robot, observing his impatient demeanor, appeared somewhat skeptical. However, after 2 rounds of scanning, he passed the test. It has been determined that Lu Yao's parents have a favoritism index of 40, successfully passing the household chores test. We shall now proceed to the 3rd round, the asset assessment phase. Please present the exclusive assets you have prepared for your daughter. The more substantial the assets, the greater the opportunity to enter the final test. Assets may include vehicles, real estate, savings, funds, insurance, etc. Many parents who had finally advanced to the next round were busy lamenting their wronged sons. Upon hearing the test's content, numerous individuals erupted in outrage. Daughters are like spilled water. Who would buy a car or a house for them? Have you lost your mind? Providing her with a separate room and exempting her from chores is already treating her like a princess. If we give her money too, she might as well ascend to the heavens. Daughters are inherently ungrateful, unlike sons who can support us in our old age. What is this ridiculous competition? I don't want 10 billion. They cursed and attempted to leave, causing their favoritism index to plummet into the negatives. The gender bias system determined that they had engaged in cheating during the previous tests. Within 3 seconds, they were all struck down by an intensified electric current. Meanwhile, the daughters, once deemed burdensome, gleefully clutched their phones and scampered away. Witnessing these biased parents rolling on the ground in agony, the air was thick with the scent of burning flesh. My father shuddered. At that moment, someone brandished car keys. Both our cars are registered in my daughter's name. Although she cannot drive yet, we have granted her the freedom to leave whenever she desires. Some individuals proudly displayed their property deeds. We have transferred the ownership of our ancestral home to our daughter. Should her husband ever mistreat her, she can always return to her own house. Others held aloft their savings books. I have saved all my daughter's New Year's money and invested it wisely. Over the course of 10 years, it has multiplied several times. This is her little treasure trove. My mother, unwilling to be outdone, immediately produced an insurance policy. I have purchased a life insurance policy worth 10 million for my daughter. With this insurance, no matter what illness she may suffer, we will be able to provide her with the best treatment. This policy is a testament to our favoritism. Would you dare to buy such an expensive insurance for your daughter? Seeing the triumphant expression on my mother's face, my throat felt as if it were being gripped by an invisible hand, rendering me nearly breathless. I still vividly recall the first time my mother presented this insurance policy, accompanied by a bowl of porridge laced with rat poison. She pried my mouth open and brought the porridge to my lips. "If you drink this, I will receive 10 million in insurance money. Compared to being sold off to a mountain man to bear 10 children, you would rather wish for an early demise." The instinct for survival surged within me, and I gathered the courage to knock the bowl away, grabbing my backpack and running away into the night. A week after I left home, my father found me rummaging through a garbage station. He beat me mercilessly with a metal rod, leaving me bruised and bloodied, worthless wretch. If it weren't for the insurance company investigating, I would have 100 ways to dispose of you. If you don't come back, I'd rather forego the insurance money than let you live. In the countless days that followed, I lay awake in fear and despair, terrified that if I closed my eyes, I might be inexplicably killed. Had it not been for the news of this competition favoring daughters over sons, I would never have had the opportunity to stand here. The robot scanned the insurance policy, then scanned me. Lu Yao, is the information accurate? Observing the increasing number of eliminated families and the escalating severity of the punishments, I once again nodded silently. The satisfied laughter from my parents echoed in my ears as the system simultaneously announced the results. It has been determined that Lu Yao's parents exhibit a favoritism index of 70 towards their daughter, successfully passing the asset assessment. Next, we will proceed to the final round of the sincerity test. Please state your daughter's birthday, interests, dreams, and her 10 favorite possessions. As other families appeared increasingly troubled, my parents stepped forward, speaking animatedly. Our daughter loves reading. We have purchased her an entire library of world literature. However, those books were intended for Lu Xingqian, who never read them. I could only sneak in to read whenever they were out. Once, when discovered, my mother struck me with a hardcover book, leaving me concussed. Our daughter adores milk tea and chips. We have stocked an entire cabinet with snacks. Again, those were for Lu Xingqian. If I so much as glanced at them, Lu Xingqian would pin me down and slap me. Filthy beggar. Don't even think about stealing my snacks. I'll teach you a lesson if I see you again. When it came to birthdays, my parents were even more boastful. Our daughter's birthday is on September 8th. Every year, she insists we buy her a cake. With that, they winked at me triumphantly. Yao Yao, see how well your parents remember. Indeed, I remembered all too clearly. On my 8th birthday, I mustered the courage to ask for a cake. But because my brother had a slight cold and coughed a couple of times that day, my mother shoved my head into the toilet. If you can't even take care of your brother, what use are you to me? Want a cake? You deserve nothing but filth. On my 12th birthday, I begged my parents to spare 10 yuan for a cheap little cake. My father hung me up and beat me until I bled. How dare you ask me for money? Are you tired of living? You are my child. All the money you earn belongs to me. Your dowry, your insurance money, all mine. Regardless of what they said, I nodded vigorously, helping them inch closer to the billion-dollar prize. Soon, they emerged victorious. Congratulations to Lu Yao's parents for becoming the strongest contenders for the billion-dollar prize. They excitedly dragged me to the stage. We are the only true parents who favor daughters. You lot who can't even remember your daughter's birthday aren't worthy of being called parents. Hurry up and present the award. We are the most biased parents in the world. Before they could revel in their triumph, the cold, mechanical voice of the system interrupted. Please remain calm. The gender bias assessment still requires the final step. The robot forcibly separated my parents and solemnly inquired of me, as the daughter, do you acknowledge the results of the assessment and confirm that they align with your real-life circumstances 100%? Should you choose to disavow, the system will conduct a mandatory review of the actual situation. If it is determined that your parents withheld information during the assessment, their eligibility for the prize will be revoked, and they will face the strictest penalties. Lu Yao, what is your response? All attention suddenly fixated on me. Everyone was keenly interested in whether my parents could secure the entire billion based on their favoritism towards me. Seeing me bow my head in silence, my parents rushed towards me, embracing me tightly. Yao Yao, please speak. Tell them you acknowledge the results. Your father and mother love you so much. They worked so hard to raise you. You wouldn't let us down, would you? Under the weight of their expectant gazes, I finally uttered my first words of the day. Coldly, I do not acknowledge the results of the assessment, and I request a review by the system. My parents' pupils dilated, and familiar shouts erupted. Worthless wretch. Are you seeking death? Realizing the robots were now pointing at them, my father hastily slapped himself to regain composure. Yao Yao, why are you throwing a tantrum? We've spoiled you too much. My mother feigned nonchalance as she explained to the robot. She's just joking with us. This child loves to play around. I stepped behind the robot, glaring at them coldly. I am not joking. I state that I do not acknowledge the results of the previous 4 rounds of assessments, and I request a review of my true situation by the adjudication system. My mother, constrained by the occasion, could only suppress her urge to strike me. Hissing in a low voice, "Is it just because we didn't buy you a cake for your birthday a few days ago that you're holding a grudge? Your father and I are busy working to support you, that's why we forgot. We've apologized to you countless times. Why are you still holding this against us? There's a time and place for jokes. That's a billion at stake." Her teeth bared, her eyes glinted with the familiar hatred I recognized. My father grew even more brazen, hands on his hips, shouting, "I don't believe you can really force a review. Enough with the theatrics. I see all that electric shock nonsense and sons transferring money to daughters is a scam. This competition is just a ploy to swindle entry fees. I paid the entry fee and outperformed those parents, so you must give me that billion." Even Lu Xingqian was jumping up and down in frustration. "I washed 100 plates for this. You won't fool me. Lu Yao, are you doing this on purpose?" I realized I had been too lenient with my good graces, allowing her to forget the times I had beaten her. My mother, terrified, clamped her hand over Lu Xingqian's mouth. "Shut up. Do you want to ruin everything?" To their frantic desperation, the robot responded with its cold, mechanical voice. "The gender bias assessment has been conducted in over 50 countries worldwide, and its fairness is beyond question. Since the only daughter in the family does not acknowledge the results of the assessment, we will now commence a mandatory review for the sake of fairness." My father, still in a fit, insisted he would see how the review would be conducted, and with a final, sinister grin in my direction, he concluded, "Lu Yao, you truly are your father's exemplary daughter. Once the competition concludes, I shall reward you splendidly." That twisted smile conjures forth a multitude of nightmares. Each time my earnings dwindle or my endeavors fail to meet his expectations, he threatens me with that horrifying grin, subsequently beating me to the brink of unconsciousness. Meanwhile, my mother and younger brother merely snack on seeds nearby, mocking my plight. A worthless girl must understand her position in this household without a bit of hardship. She will never learn. They remain oblivious. With each beating, I do not glean wisdom. Rather, I accumulate a festering hatred day by day. Thus, in this very moment, upon witnessing that dreadful smile once more, I merely tremble instinctively, devoid of fear. Indeed, I am no longer afraid, for I have clandestinely studied the competition focused on gender bias countless times. I orchestrated a subtle delivery of the competition's promotional flyers into their line of sight. I am aware that upon seeing the billion-dollar prize, their eyes will glaze over in greed. When they insist that I participate and compel my cooperation, I feign reluctance, weeping and wailing, even enduring a beating to divert their suspicion. Finally, I led them into the arena, step by step maneuvering them into this position. Henceforth, I shall harbor no fear. For the first time I stand tall, gazing fearlessly at my father. Let us not speak too soon. Who knows if you will still possess the strength to reward me? My father falters, seemingly bewildered by the sudden fortitude in the voice of his once subservient daughter. However, he will not have the opportunity to comprehend. Before he can react, the 3 of them are ensnared by colossal robots, forcibly secured to chairs. 3 helmets, entwined with electrodes, are firmly affixed to their heads. Their eyes widen in terror, yet they have no chance to scream. As they gaze in horror, the massive screen descends, revealing images extracted from their minds. The first scene depicts me as an infant in swaddling clothes. Upon seeing me wailing from hunger, my mother, with disdain plastered across her face, consults my father. Shall we find a well and quietly drown her? After all, this is how unwanted girls are disposed of in our village. Let us end her misery and save ourselves the trouble. My father slaps my head, countering, "Why kill her? Let us merely feed her. Once we have a son, she can care for him and earn us money. When she matures, we can exchange her for a substantial bride price, and we shall be wealthy." My parents' limbs twitch and the scene shifts. I am 5 years old, and my brother has just been born. To ensure he has ample food and clothing, my daily ration is reduced from 3 bowls of porridge to merely 2 sweet potatoes. When my mother orders me to scrub the toilet, I faint from hunger and crack my head. Yet upon seeing my injury, she merely kicks me disdainfully. "Stop pretending to be pitiful. Your blood is a nuisance. Get up and clean it. Finish scrubbing the toilet, and then wash your brother's diapers. He is waiting for a change." With that, She turns to feed my brother imported formula, placing him in an expensive crib worth thousands. My brother, stiff with shock, watches in wide-eyed disbelief. Amidst his bewilderment, the scene transitions again. I am being yanked by my hair, submerged in the toilet by my mother. If you cannot even care for your brother, what use are you to me? Still yearning for cake? You deserve nothing but filth. She vents all her frustrations onto me, and after beating me to the brink of consciousness, she casts me outside. If you want dinner, go beg for it. There's no food for you today. I curl up in the corner of the staircase, crying for what feels like an eternity until a kind neighbor discovers me. She tends to my wounds, prepares delicious ribs, and even offers to report my parents. I plead with her through tears, please don't call the police. If you do, my parents will kill me. The final image shows the neighbor, tears streaming down her face, embracing me, lamenting my tragic fate. My parents' eyes widen in horror as they begin to struggle violently against their restraints. Yet the more they fight, the tighter the robots secure them, leaving red marks upon their skin. The scenes continue to shift rapidly. Soon, my mother is shown clutching an insurance policy, plotting to poison me with rat poison. Then, my father is depicted at a garbage dump, wielding a metal rod against me. Amidst my cries and wails, the images flicker by with increasing speed, each a testament to my numerous tortures. Returning home late from my part-time job, I am lashed with a belt. When the money from collecting bottles falls short, I am punished with a day of starvation. For merely flipping through a book my brother was neglecting, scalding water is poured onto my legs. Each scene unfolds as a harrowing reality I have endured. As the final images play, the arena fills with anguished sobs. A multitude of sympathetic gazes converge upon me. Yet I silently roll up my sleeves, revealing an array of scars to the robots, as my parents' pallid faces betray their horror. This is my true existence. The robots swiftly scan my wounds. According to the gender bias detection system, Liu Yao's parents exhibit a considerable preference for their daughter. Just as the audience awaits the system's verdict, my father, consumed by fear, emits a desperate howl. Let me explain. He seems to grasp the magnitude of the robot's power, finally convinced that the previous electric shocks were genuine. To avert punishment, he repeatedly pleads for a chance to explain. The robot beeps twice, inquiring if I consent. Eager to witness their desperate struggle, I nod in agreement. The robot promptly removes the helmet from my father's head. He gasps for breath, his eyes red with desperation as he fervently defends himself. We do not favor our daughter. We do this for her benefit. Yes, we are indeed overly devoted to her, striving to instill resilience and independence within her, hence our strictness. It is precisely due to our unique educational approach that she excels academically, consistently ranking first and becoming an exemplary student. Her exceptional grades indicate she is destined for prestigious universities. If we did not favor her, would we have supported her education for so many years? Yao, speak up. Explain for your father. This man, who has always resorted to violence against me, now bows his head for the first time. His eyes are no longer filled with threats, but rather a profound plea. My mother, too, with tears glistening in her eyes, implores me with her gaze. My brother, drenched in sweat, is so frightened that he has wet his pants. Observing my trembling family, an unexpected joy wells up within me. The anticipation of long-awaited retribution feels exhilarating. It will replace the terror I have endured for over a decade, transforming into a cherished memory that brings me solace each night before I sleep. I smile at them. Why do you believe I would help you explain? Have you never considered that it was I who brought you to this competition focused on gender bias? As various emotions, fear, panic, and hatred flicker across their faces, I smirk lightly. The promotional poster for the gender bias competition was crafted by me using the money I earned from scavenging cardboard for a week. I meticulously printed multiple copies, placing them along your daily paths, even slipping them under your doors. Though I harbor disdain for you, I also understand you. As long as there exists an opportunity to exploit and monetize my existence, you will undoubtedly seize it. And now you sit here, witnessing my mother's hysterical thrashing, my younger brother's silent curses, his mouth agape yet unable to utter a sound, and my father, surprisingly, shedding a tear of fear. I turned to the robot and declared, I have nothing to elucidate. They have tormented me since childhood, plotting my demise countless times, even attempting to poison me to claim insurance money. This is an undeniable truth. My survival thus far is not due to any lingering compassion they possess, but rather my continued utility to them, be it for future dowries or coerced participation in this contest favoring daughters over sons. However, a more significant reason for my endurance is my unwillingness to succumb to their malice. I shall persist, and I shall thrive. I will seek retribution, ensuring these biased family members pay for their transgressions. After a brief, tense silence, the atmosphere erupted into fervent applause. Those truly devoted to their daughters rallied behind me, cheering, "Lu Yao, you are magnificent. You are justified. Such scoundrels are unworthy of parenthood. They must be held accountable for their actions." Amidst the encouragement, I bowed deeply to the robot. I had spoken my truth. I implored the system for a fair judgment. The helmets of the three were swiftly removed, revealing their drenched, fear-stricken forms, their attempts to curse me stifled by their rigid expressions and overwhelming terror. The robot promptly announced the verdict. According to the daughter preference system, Lu Yao's parents' bias score against their daughter is a staggering -500. Furthermore, due to their severe cheating and deceit during the evaluation, the system imposes the most stringent penalties. Before they could utter a single curse, a jolt of electricity, tenfold in intensity, enveloped their bodies. They collapsed, contorting on the ground as convulsions overtook them. As I watched their skin singe, a faint yellow smoke began to waft through the air. At that moment, the robot conveyed in a voice only I could discern, based on system estimates, "The damages you have endured from gender bias over the years entitle you to a compensation of 10 million. Furthermore, as you are eligible for a tenfold mandatory compensation, the funds will be directly deposited into an account established for you after liquidating your parents' assets." It was then that I comprehended the radiant joy of those girls I had seen earlier. A series of account details and passwords appeared on my second-hand phone, which I had secretly acquired. While my parents and brother lay on the ground, still emitting smoke, 100 million smoothly entered my account. Overwhelmed with astonishment, I was equally flabbergasted. How could they possibly possess such wealth? The system elucidated the entirety of their assets, including their clandestine savings and the villa they purchased in anticipation of Lu Xingchen's birth. In addition, they had acquired a quaint countryside villa for their own comfort. Despite their daily claims of financial hardship, they had been secretly running a small company with annual profits exceeding 100,000. However, prior to this contest, I had been utterly oblivious to their affluence. In my childhood innocence, I genuinely believed we were impoverished, willingly taking on part-time jobs and collecting bottles for money. It was only upon witnessing Lu Xingchen's daily splendor that I recognized my naivety. The daughter preference contest had unveiled their true nature in its entirety. Trembling, I clutched my phone, and despite having witnessed the daughter preference system's might, I still felt a flicker of trepidation. Could they truly sever ties with me against my will? The robot solemnly assured me, "The punishment is now in effect. You have been entirely erased from their memories and consciousness. Lu Yao, congratulations, you are now free." This time, the robot's voice bore a different tone. It was no longer the cold, mechanical sound, but rather a warm, emotive female voice, as if the speaker shared in my exhilaration. Before I could grasp the situation, my parents, who had been sprawled on the floor, slowly began to rise. All around, debris was hurled at them. "Monsters. You deserve this." The daughter preference contest is a mirror to expose the absurdity of biased parents. My parents, helpless and bewildered, scratched their heads, unable to comprehend the unfolding chaos. Notifications chimed incessantly from my phone, and they sluggishly glanced at the screen. "Your property sale transaction has been completed. Your company has been fully sold. This is to inform you. Your substantial deposit has been legally transferred. Your bank account balance is currently 0. My parents stood in disbelief, grappling with the reality of their situation. The messages and their frantic inquiries made it clear they had been reduced to destitution. This realization pushed them to the brink of collapse. They stared blankly at Lu Xingchen, who lay convulsing on the ground, oblivious to their concern for him. They had forgotten I was their daughter, perceiving me merely as a bystander. Now, all they recalled was participating in a daughter preference contest. With no understanding of what transpired thereafter, they had forgotten my existence, and their assets had been entirely appropriated. As the weight of their realization dawned upon them, they stumbled to their feet and rushed outside. "Do not enter the contest. You will regret it. Hurry. Please, do not participate. Yet." The robot swiftly dragged them and Lu Xingchen away. The scene was left echoing with faint cries and sobs. After their disappearance, a new throng of eager parents surged in. Wonderful. Another pair of competitors eliminated. We are the most doting parents of daughters in the world. We are certain to win the grand prize. This familiar scene prompted a sardonic shake of my head as I turned to leave. Just then, a staff member in uniform intercepted me. Would you be interested in joining us? Skeptical yet intrigued, I followed her backstage, descending an elevator into a dazzling new world. I discovered that each robot in the daughter preference contest was controlled by a girl, a former contestant who had successfully escaped her family and obtained compensation. They greeted me warmly, waving, "Lu Yao, congratulations. Once you enroll in a prestigious university and return with your degree, the daughter preference contest will always welcome you to join our team." We exchanged smiles, an inexplicable sense of camaraderie despite having never met before. I understood that from this moment on, this place would nourish my rebirth, becoming my second true home. The end. Thank you for listening. See you in the next story.